There we go. All right, so looking at VRay, if you guys want to go back and check this stuff, I'll show you what these rendering settings pull up. So if you like that, you can just copy this exactly. It's pretty much default settings, so don't worry too much about it. But if you want to go into the indirect illumination and turn on ambient occlusion right here, that'll just give you a little more shading around the edges and give you a little bit more definition of your total shape. We could do 2 renders and just show you what the difference is, but actually I'll turn it off for now. And we'll do just a quick render of this second view. So pretty spectacular. This is a Gary building, if anybody was wondering. And that's without ambient occlusion. If we turn it on, I'm not going to save it, so just memorize what it looks like. If we turn it on and render again, let's see if we can get... No, there's no material to this. You guys don't have to do that for this project. It's not necessary. I mean, if you want to like overlay a little bit of texture or something just to give a little definition to the object, that's good for you. But so I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's just there's a little more definition around the edges. The corners are a little bit more defined. It makes it a little bit easier to perceive. So once you have that, sorry, are you guys aware with the just simple saving up here? Save the image, goes wherever you want it to. Another thing in the future, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but there are other options in the VRay provides for you in the output settings. Is it output? Do you know? No? Yes? That's not what I'm looking for, Matt. Don't lie to me. The channels. Okay, so in here, do you guys know what the alpha channel does? Okay, so that's kind of helpful when you jump into Photoshop. I do have it selected, so we can go to it, and it's basically a black and white thing. I do have infinite plane on, which I'll go over here in a second, but if it wasn't on, what you would just have is a black background and the object you're rendering is completely white. So if you import that into Photoshop as well, it's really quick and easy to just like select that white box, turn that layer off, and you've got your other like fully rendered object selected. So you can erase the background really quickly. Is this making sense? I can go over it in Photoshop too. We'll do that. But yeah, I encourage you guys to look through a bunch of these things. There's some interesting ones if you're doing a reflective rendering when you've applied a material and you're reflecting it, or there's shadows you want to focus on. And when you're in Photoshop, you really want to have control over selecting those shadows as opposed to the whole object. That's maybe a little bit more advanced, but if you have questions, that can be a desk type thing. So really quick, I'm just going to render the other view I had because I've already got this all set up. And I'll save the alpha channel. So you guys following? This is just, if you do end up with this as your render, be sure to check this box up here just to make sure you're not looking at the alpha channel or some other weird channel. But so this is the render we're going to be working with for the tutorial. I'm going to save the alpha just so I can show you guys how that works. Oh, right, okay. And the infinite plane. So if you want to get a shadow on the ground, instead of just doing, like, drawing a plane just under your object and ending up with, like, just a weird edge in your render, what you can do is use VRay's infinite plane. You click it, it shows up. It's that easy, and it's just that thing. Goes out in all directions. So that's just for adding, for any of your renders, it's nice to have a ground plane. So let's jump into Photoshop then. This is the export I had. This is with ambient occlusion on. There's not a lot of definition in it even after we put that on. So what you can do is use an adjustment layer. What I've done here is use the levels. You guys know levels? That's a good one. So we'll turn this one off and I'll just do it again real quick. Click that button. If you want it to apply to the layer just below it instead of all of the layers below it, click this little guy right here. It's really important because you could end up just messing up your whole nice render and you have no idea why everything's gone black and white or desaturated or whatever. It's because you didn't click this guy. So this will affect only the layer right below it, which means we'll have to move this down one. But essentially what we can do here is drag this guy over just so there's a little more definition. Spruce it up a little bit. Great. So that's being applied directly to this layer. You'll also notice that there's no background in here. I just drew a giant white rectangle in the background. It's, you know, just to give your background a consistent finish. And I don't know, if you have a board in Illustrator or InDesign and you've got some sort of pattern in the background or graphics in the background, don't do that and it'll just go on nice and seamlessly. But another thing you can do here is, what's this guy? Let's see. Okay. A gradient overlay just to make it hot. Got hot pink. So I'll show you how to do that real quick. Again, just what I do is grab a rectangle tool, and when you're choosing the fill, up here you can click on gradient, and when you draw it, you'll now have a gradient across the whole thing. And if you choose the gradient tool in here, it's same as paint bucket. What am I doing here? You might not need that. Anyways, in the fill here for the properties, all you have to do is double click on this and you can choose whatever color you want. Great. You can also change the opacity, I think. I just can't remember how to do that at the moment, but that's not important. So say you want a green to white overlay. That's great. There you go. You got this rectangle. Turn down the opacity. You might want to change it to a overlay or a multiply. Those work great. Depends on what effect you want. We'll go with overlay because it's nice and subtle. It's just highlighting the shadows. I mean, it's not super complex, but it's super quick and dirty. Like, makes your clay render look 10 times better because it's just a little bit color. And this is good for really quick renderings in Studio too. Like if all you've got is a clay render, just toss that on and there you go. I mean, that's way cooler. So we're going to stick with pink. I think this is on multiply. We'll switch it over. Do you guys know how to combine all of your layers into one really quick? It's like super handy. Just Control Alt Shift E, and it'll, everything below the layer you had selected is now, or every layer you have on, is now combined into one layer. So this is really handy if you just want to do like an overall sort of change. Like maybe we want to change the hue or saturation on this, and we didn't want to have to worry about adding another layer. Maybe it's just a small change you want to do before you're exporting it. I don't know. There's a ton of reasons, but that's really handy to use for combining all that stuff. What's going on here? What else do we have? Okay, well, there's cool rendering. Let's jump into Illustrator. So this is just a export from Rhino of a Make 2D. Do you guys know that? Should we go over that? No? Okay, we'll go over it real quick. So here's that wicked geometry. Just going to jump back to that view again. If you select it all, what do we do first? Extract mesh. Extract wireframe, I think. Is that right, Matt? Is it mesh?
Well,
yeah.
If you just go make 2D first, you're gonna get you're gonna get the outlines.
Yeah.
If you want more information, you can either extract wireframe, which will turn the wireframe into actual curves, and then you go make 2D on top of that, or just export those curves as they are into Illustrator, and you'll get a lot more information than just the original make 2D. And same with meshes. It won't work. Make 2D won't work on a mesh, but there's both the extract wireframe, which will give you kind of the inside of the mesh, and then mesh outline.
Yeah.
Will give you whatever view you're looking at. It will give you the outline of the mesh. So it's almost exactly the same as Make 2D. So those are how you're going to get those curves out.
Okay, so we'll do that just so it's on the video. So let's do the outline then. This is the view that we rendered in, so everything's going to overlay nicely. Go mesh outline. That's great. Make that. Oh. So this is the outline. Were you guys following that? I didn't. That was just the simple mesh outline tool. I made it 2D so it shows up in the top view. And now what you can do is just file export this and open it up in Illustrator. What you can also do is mesh wireframe or make wireframe.
I think it should be the same one, just extract.
Right. And then again, make that 2D. It'll show up in your top view. Clearly, they're different sizes, but that's always easily fixed in Illustrator or Photoshop. So again, select all of it, file, export selected. You can save those as Illustrator files directly, so they open up really nice. That is exactly what this is. So initially this came in as a solid line 1-point thing. So did Kaylee show you guys how to export layers from Rhino in 2D? She's really good at that, and I don't know how to do it, but I can ask her if you guys are interested. It is a pretty simple thing, but something that's really effective in Illustrator. Hopefully you guys were shown this before, but if you want, say you have a really complex drawing in Illustrator, there's different line weights and colors and everything, but everything's organized by a line weight. Say it's a CAD export, and you've got everything drawn up for walls, windows, doors, grid lines, etc. What you can do is, and it maybe doesn't apply exactly to this, but say you select a grid line, and what you want to do is select all of the grid lines so that you can change that color, is select, same, fill and stroke, or fill color, stroke weight, whatever you want, and it will select all of the objects on your board that are the same as that one selection. So have you guys been shown that before? Yes? No? Some people? Okay. Remember that one. It's super helpful. So here, if I'm going to do a wireframe overlay on that rendering, this is maybe not the best geometry. I apologize for that. In hindsight, it was a bad idea, but it's kind of just a bunch of angles everywhere. So it's really busy, and what I wanted to do was just tone it down a little bit by making it dashed or dotted. So that really lightens it up a little bit. But say you bring it into Photoshop and you can't really see it, maybe just bump up the line weight a little bit, and you've got something that you can actually just Control C, Control V into here. And it's going to come in as a smart object. Again, so there might be issues with sizing these things, especially coming out of Rhino, like those outlines and wireframes, but make sure you hold shift and just size it up until it's pretty close. The thing with smart objects is they're a little tough to manipulate in Photoshop, so what you're going to want to do, maybe save that one and just create a copy. That's just Alt, click, drag. If you guys didn't know that one, that's really easy. That way we have that one, we don't have to bring it back in. If we screw this one up, the base one's there. Because it's a smart object, what you're going to want to do is rasterize it. Now what you can do is say, toss a mask on it, and maybe using the paintbrush black will erase part of it. We've got a 25% opacity. Maybe that looks good, maybe it doesn't. Doesn't matter. That's how you do it. So that's just one way to bring something in from Illustrator, manipulate it, make sure you rasterize the smart object or else it's going to be a pain in the butt. What's another thing we had? The blur. So, sure, let's keep this on there. Tone it down a little bit. So they also mention like depth of field blur and stuff like that. For something like this, it might be really easy just to let's just delete all these. Using that Control Alt Shift E command. If you hold Alt and click the eye there, that's now the only layer on. Everything else is turned off. So what we're going to do here is, for a really cheap way of doing a depth of field, you can use the filter, I guess. You could do that, whatever. We're just going to use the blur brush. Let's cut it down to about 70. So basically, let's make a copy of this before we do anything. On this lower layer, just blur the crap out of it. And on the next layer, what you can do is create a mask and erase where you want it to be blurred. So I don't know. That's one way of getting that done. I think that's just about it for today. Are there any questions? Are there any effects or anything you guys are interested in? Oh yeah, thank you. That's right. So let's bring that in. We'll where is it? Great. So in this case, it's I didn't turn off the infinite plane. Essentially, what it will let you do is rasterize it. So say you want to put a sky in the background. What you can do is just use this layer to say select that sky. Let's just find a picture of a sky real quick. Great. We'll toss that in. Let's big ass picture. So using the alpha channel, what you can do is quickly select, make sure you're on the right layer. Quickly select that background where you want the sky to show up. And then when you go back onto this layer, just hit the mask. And there you go. It's in the background. So then turn off your alpha layer and you've got a sky in the background. So that's...
Don't put a sky on your board.
Yeah, don't put a sky. Sorry, clarifying. Don't do that. But, for studio projects, other renderings, it's...
And also sometimes I might render the same thing once with the plane, or I want to use for my actual render, and then once without the plane, so I can use that alpha just for the one without the plane. If I want to select just the object for any reason, so I won't use the render without the plane, but it will give you that alpha channel.
Yeah.
That's just my building or just my object. So then if you wanted to, do something with just it or just the area around it, you can select it that way, even though your actual render has a plane and shadows and stuff.
So
you can get
just the object itself.
Can you export it so that you have the shadow behind it, so you can have the shadow cast on
In that list of channels where
there was one
so default is just alpha and your image. There's like 20 more. 19 of those I've never used, but shadow is one. It'll just give you the shadows. So it would be like a black screen with just white where actual shadows are being casted. So I usually do, I click that one, click the alpha. I don't know if any more of them are actually useful.
I did a project over the summer where we had some reflections on ice, and so we clicked reflection and refraction. It's really contextual, I suppose. Like if you're looking for something in particular, there's a good chance that it's in here, and you can like call it out and use that channel. So yeah. If you're having trouble selecting something in particular in your render, maybe try running a couple extra channels and just see if any of them help. Yeah, so anybody else? No? Okay. You guys can just run on upstairs then, and we'll be walking around if anybody has any questions.
So you have to, right? When you offset it, keeps your 2 cubes intersection of it. Is that still not